from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
And welcome back to KPIX 5 this morning. The time is 6:30. I'm Melissa Kane.
Good morning. I'm Devin Fehely.
And fire crews are battling a wind-driven brush fire in Southern California. At last check, they said they have it 30% contained. It's burning near the I-5 freeway in Santa Clarita. The fire broke out yesterday afternoon and quickly grew to 175 acres. Evacuation orders were lifted last night after firefighters managed to get control of the blaze.
And in San Francisco, police are investigating an officer-involved shooting that sent a suspect to the hospital. It happened early Saturday morning on Grant Avenue in North Beach. Police say 2 officers were chasing a suspect on foot when an officer opened fire. Police say the suspect suffered life-threatening injuries. No one else was hurt. A firearm was recovered at the scene.
And the Cal Palace in Daly City is not letting a proposed gun show ban interfere with its events. Now, the venue parking lot is filled with cars for a weekend-long gun show. And just days ago, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously in support of Senator Wiener's bill that would ban all gun shows at the Cal Palace. Supervisor David Canepa says that nearby residents want the shows shut down, but they've been impacted by gun violence.
The state should not profit from the sale of guns. This is not an appropriate place, and the community has weighed in and has said so. And so we're going to support the neighborhoods and making sure that the gun show does not continue to operate here.
Now, if the bill passes, it would go into effect in January 2020. And Governor Brown's final budget plan for California is undergoing some changes after negotiations with fellow Democrats who lead the state Senate and Assembly. Now, this new version will include more funding for state-run universities in both the CSU and UC systems. It also calls for the creation of an online community college. The new budget plan will also boost funding for services to the homeless. The budget plan must pass the full Assembly and the state Senate by Friday.
Investigators are looking into what caused a brush fire in Marin County. The fire began just before 4 yesterday afternoon on San Rafael Hill above downtown San Rafael and close to some homes. Strong winds helped push the flames and the fire grew to more than 12 acres before crews were able to stop it. Now, in the end, no homes or other buildings were damaged and no one had to evacuate. But some residents with last year's wine country wildfires fresh on their minds prepared for the worst.
So my dad was on the roof, and then I was just hosing down the rest of our house, trying to get any dry areas wet, anything that we think could spark, just get that wet.
We just packed some expensive items and videotaped it inside of our house in case it burns down for insurance.
Now, some people were told to shelter in place for a while to avoid exposure to smoke. At one point, the flames threatened a radio tower that's important to Marin County's emergency system.
And Supervisor London Breed has taken the lead in San Francisco's mayor race. The latest results show Breed surpassing Mark Leno by 498 votes. But about 42,000 ballots have not been counted yet. The Department of Elections received an unexpected flood of ballots on Election Day. Voters dropped off 44,000 ballots at polling stations, and another 16,000 arrived by mail.
Still seems to be on track for the planned summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Kim was the first to arrive today in Singapore, where the historic get-together is scheduled to happen Tuesday. He's meeting today with Singapore's Prime Minister. President Trump arrived in Singapore about a half hour ago. The president arrived on Air Force One at a Singapore airbase. It's Sunday evening there right now. He's been expressing optimism about the summit with North Korea's leader, but he has also suggested that this is, quote, Kim's one-time shot. President Trump traveled to Singapore after an early departure from the Group of Seven summit in Quebec. As CBS News' Weizhe Zhang reports, the president ruffled some feathers of world leaders at the G7 gathering.
I think it's been very, very successful.
Minutes before leaving the G7 summit, President Trump said he made progress in the bitter trade battle with U.S. allies.
The relationship that I've had with the people, the leaders of these countries has been, I would really rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, I would rate it a 10.
President Trump was firm on keeping new U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum, warning other countries not to retaliate as they promised, and suggesting fees on American exports should come down.
We're like the piggy bank that everybody's robbing, and that ends.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reacted quickly and vowed not to back down.
Canadians were polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
The exchange reverts back to their war of words before the summit. While there, the president's focus was split, with meeting Kim Jong-un a top priority, though he doesn't think it will take long to size Kim up.
How long will it take to figure out whether or not they're serious? I said, maybe in the first minute. You know, the way they say that you know if you're going to like somebody in the first 5 seconds?
Mr. Trump is optimistic Kim will be open to denuclearization. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, Quebec City, Canada.
And after the summit, President Trump targeted Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau on Twitter. The president called him, quote, very dishonest and weak. Mr. Trump seemed upset that Trudeau held that news conference after the G7 where he called U.S. tariffs insulting. Mr. Trump says his tariffs are in response to Canada's 270% tariffs on dairy. But the president was optimistic on Twitter last night about his summit with Kim Jong-un. He said, quote, I look forward to meeting him and have a feeling that this one-time opportunity will not be wasted. Now, the Capella Hotel where the meeting will take place is on lockdown and closed to the public. Special forces are also in place at the hotels where President Trump and Kim Jong-un will be staying. There are also airspace restrictions and a ban on drones ahead of Tuesday's meeting, which would be the first summit of its kind between a North Korean leader and a sitting U.S. president. So California could be the last hope to maintain key protections of the Affordable Care Act. Texas and other Republican-led states filed a lawsuit after Congress got rid of the individual mandate, saying that other sections of the law became destabilized. And last week, the Trump administration said it would no longer defend against the lawsuit. California and other states have filed a motion asking to step in and defend that case in court.
Good morning, everybody. For all you early risers, for all of you just wondering what happened on Saturday, for all the attention span challenged, I give you 1 minute of sports. Hit you with some Justify. That horse is legit. He and his jockey Mike Smith's bid for greatness, boy, they won the Belmont Stakes, and in doing so, became the 13th Triple Crown winner, led wire to wire. It was trainer Bob Baffert's second Triple Crown feat. And with unbeaten Justify, 52-year-old Mike Smith became the oldest jockey to win the Triple Crown. Stanley Cup is making the rounds in Washington, D.C. There's Capital star Alex Ovechkin hoisting it and then hurl the first pitch before the Giants game yesterday. Bottom of the fourth, watch this one. That's Bryce Harper. He mashes. This one off of Ty Block, gone. Increased the national lead to 6-4. They beat the Giants 7-5. And in Oakland, Alex Gordon of the Royals. That's a man shot. Ninth inning bolt and a 2-0 win at the A's. Record is 33-32. And in soccer, the Earthquakes, dark uniforms into the game. It's tied. And look what happened. Aaron Kovar of LAFC stunned San Jose at Avaya Stadium. Final 4-3. That is sports at this hour. Everybody have a terrific Sunday. I'll see you around.